Craig's making spooky noises.
Oh.
Yeah, we got the Halloween thing going on Discord, so he makes Halloweeny noises when people join.
Excellent.
Yeah. Chris, you usually are the person opening up on this thing. What's up?
You stole my thunder.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic.
Well, yeah, I love it.
See it.
Yeah, I wish I could do that every week.
I don't like it.
We're the Grumpy Dungeon Masters. I'm Jay, joined with my co-hosts Christopher, Kristian, and Dan. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello there.
No.
Yep,
So
Snore,
grumpy.
just like usual. Well, we are the Grumpy Dungeon Masters. Kristian, tell us about social medias and stuff.
You can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts. You can also find it on YouTube. And you can find the Grumpy Dungeon Masters streaming on Twitch TV on Tuesday and Thursday nights, playing a variety of video games. And on Saturday nights, you can catch Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher running his D&D 5e campaign, Waterdeep World Worn Dead.
Awesome.
Everyone actually showed up this week too, so played. It was pretty fun.
Hell yeah. So I'm gonna cut off whatever story Chris was gonna drop on us, and I'm gonna tell a story of my own instead. Because usually you start everything, so I'm doing it this time. God damn it!
You can have this one.
Okay, that's all I'm asking. Just this one time. So last night we got to play some D&D 5e. It's a homebrew campaign that my friend Drew's been running for us for a while. And our friend Jacob, aka Muffin, is in the game with us. I play a wizard, he plays a fighter, party's getting prepared to do some stuff. And we found out that we were going to have to go underwater to fight some things. So we don't have any of the necessary stuff really to breathe underwater for extended periods of time. So we're like, okay, we're in the city. We're going to do a quick little shopping trip. We spend about 5 minutes of real life time buying your basic magic item stuff that you would need, some water breathing potions. I think Jacob did end up buying himself like some mariner's armor so he can have freedom of movement and breathe underwater, etc. And he bought a couple other little items that we didn't think anything about. So we take a ship out for about 7 or 8 days, find an island that we're supposed to go down underneath, and we get off the boat at the island and come to find out that there are assassins who are chasing us who are on the boat with us. We were able to ward off the areas that we're sleeping in so they didn't ever try anything on the boat, but now that we're on shore, they're going to come after us. And we find this out. So we go to the center area of the island where the area heading down is at, and I set up a Lehman's Tiny Hut. I cast Lehman's Tiny Hut through a ritual so that we have sort of an area to fight out of. So we're all hiding inside of the hut, and we see these guys sneaking up on us. So me and Jacob are going to kind of start the fight off, and Jacob's first action is to use a dust of disappearance on us. I'm like, fuck yeah, this is a good idea. If you read about the magic item Dust of Sneezing and Choking, one of the first things it says, it's found in a small container. This powder resembles very, very fine sand. It appears to be dust of disappearance. And an identify spell reveals it to be such. We didn't identify it. He just bought it at the store. And he just thought it was a dust of disappearance, and it was dust of sneezing and choking, of which everybody in there had to make fucking saving throws. So me and the bard spend the first 2 rounds of combat hacking up our fucking lungs and doing nothing as he runs out and gets the shit kicked out of him. So identify your magic items, people. Identify your magic items. Thanks, Jake.
Well,
Thanks.
That's the thing, though. Even if he had, it's a cursed magic item, and it appears to be dust of disappearance, and an identify spell reveals it to be dust of disappearance.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
So there's nothing he could have really done about that.
Yep.
Excellent.
We know where we bought it from. we're gonna go back there at some point.
And I will say that it is not nearly as bad in 5th edition as it was in the earlier editions. Kristian and I have some wonderful stories about that. Wonderful stories.
Yes, that almost led to a fist fight.
Almost, yeah. DC
Fucking-
15. Lesser Restoration restores it.
I'm a wizard. It was the wizard and the bard that failed the con saving throw, to nobody's surprise.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense.
So in 5th edition, you can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of your turns.
Yeah.
In Pathfinder in 3rd edition, it's like 10 minutes or something like that. You're just hacking and wheezing and can do nothing.
Yeah.
And there's no immunity
There's
to
no
it. There's no save. It's just
It's just
either I think
happening.
spell resistance was the only thing that like the DM on the fly like ruled could possibly save your butt because it's still a magic item.
Yeah.
But man, that was such a so great.
Yeah. Oh, we were fucking hating it and loving every second of it because the DM got us. He fucking got us.
Yeah. At least you guys were in Liam's tiny hut, right?
Yeah. I was fine. I didn't have any problems. Jacob, on the other hand, decided to run out. So
By
he got
himself while you guys were sneezing and choking.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Yeah. Yep. We had a paladin in there, so the second round, she lesser restoration me, and then the bard made his save the next round. So it wasn't too long. It was only a round or two.
That's not bad, yeah.
I love how the comment on D&D Beyond for the does the sneezing and choking. There's only one comment. It says, "Why does this even have an image?" The description says it looks identical to the dust of disappearance, which is a completely different image. And so when you look at the image it has in the book, it looks like a guy that's it's like a jar with a face with a nose broken off.
Yeah, the stopper is the nose.
Yeah, and then you look at Dust of Disappearance, which looks like, a see-through fairy. That's a very good point. If you're not supposed to be able to tell the difference and it looks exactly the same, then why is it in a different container? Why do they hire an artist to draw it twice?
Yep.
I mean, I think that's one of the things I like about the new player's handbook is of all the extra art that they drew. So like the potion of invisibility looks like an empty vial, but you can tell there's a liquid inside. And I actually got to mention that because there was a potion of invisibility that the party found. So when he asked, I said, "What does it look like?" It says, "It looks like an empty vial, but you can tell there's a liquid inside." So he's like, "Oh, it's a potion of invisibility." Okay, and just pocketed it. Didn't have to identify. He knew exactly what it was.
Or did he?
Or did he? Dun dun dun.
I mean, that's the thing as a game master. You can tell them it looks like whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah. So was that your whole thing?
Yeah, like I said, it's just a short little story of something awesome and awful that happened to me.
Listen, my short little stories last for 45 minutes. You pale in comparison to mine.
Yeah, my short stories are actually short stories. They're not.
I dare say you're long-winded, Chris.
Yeah, they're not the podcast.
All right, so let's get back to the more important things. Me.
Oh my
God. I ran AL this week. 11 players again.
Mm-hmm.
They're all telling me they're having a great time. I still just feel terrible running 11 players. But I keep everything moving. So we picked up this session middle combat from last week because we ran out of time fighting the gelatinous cube. And what happened now is that while the gelatinous cube was going on, they're fighting this thing in a T-shaped intersection of a hallway, but the cube follows a set path. When you cast Dissonant Whispers on a gelatinous cube in a tightly crowded hallway, people die. Because it had what reads it with Dissonant Whispers is if you fail, you must use your reaction, if available, to move your speed away. Okay? So that's exactly what happened, and that's exactly what I did. So the cube only moves like 15 feet, but that 15 feet through 4 players is a lot. That's a lot of damage.
It's their fault for being on the wrong side of the cube.
But what happened was, for one player, it pushed him back to kind of like where the opposite side of the cube's path. Okay, and in this dungeon, there's basically a hobgoblin lair set up, and the story beat that it provides in the box set is that the hobgoblins are trying to recover from this, humiliating defeat. And they've lost a lot of their members, so there's not many people left. It's just 4 hobgoblins. But with 11 players, I double it. So I have 2 sets of 5, I think, is what I ended up with for 2 separate encounters. So this guy kind of triggers the watch of the hobgoblins, and the hobgoblin tells him to, surrender now or he'll die. And he says no, and taunts the bugbear. Or the bugbear, the hobgoblin. And so the hobgoblin blows his war horn, starting another encounter while everyone else is still fighting the gelatinous cube. So it was chaos in all of its gloriousness. It was a lot of fun. They got pretty tapped. It was fairly close. A lot of people almost died. They ran out of most of their spells, all of their healing. And then they were able to do a short rest, and they triggered the last encounter, which is another set of 5 hobgoblins. But one of them was a hobgoblin captain with a wand of paralysis. And I used that to great effect and almost took out the party again, but they succeeded with some pretty good tactics and maneuvering in tight hallways. I think they're doing really well. It's flowing pretty fast and everything. Lost a Kennedy. Lost another Kennedy. He rolled up the character this time. This Kennedy had like 4 or 5 hit points. And he was like, all right, I'm going to try to sleight of hand this door off its hinges so I can break inside where everyone is fighting the hobgoblins. So he did it, and he rolled a 5 on his sleight of hand. So he was able to get the door off the hinges, but then the door fell on him. And he, with his 5 hit points, I rolled a d6 for damage, and, well, squish goes the Kennedy.
He is truly just playing the wrong game.
I think he's playing the right game. I don't care what you guys say. It is amazing, and I love it. I want it to continue. I think the next Kennedy I'm going to have him do, I'm going to have him roll 4d6 straight and have this be like the Kennedy that they like put a lot of effort into surviving. So I kind of need a couple other different ways of rolling character sets so I can just try them out in rapid succession, since that seems to be the motto here. Like I think like one for like 3d12 or something like that.
I don't know actually. 4d6 or 3d6 are the ones that I'm familiar with. I've even seen 5d6 drop the 2, but that's when you want superhero stats.
Yeah, I don't think it'd matter. Even if he's a superhero, man. I think it's doomed. But
I mean, if you're playing to get killed, it doesn't matter what your stats are.
Yeah. And then I ran the World War Dead stuff. It's going a bit slower than I had hoped. Really, it was a very small dungeon when I mapped it all out, but man, it's taken forever to get through it. I don't know if you guys ever ran into that, where just like a small dungeon, you expected like a week or 2 for it to take, or 2 or 3 sessions maybe. But I'm thinking we're on 4th or 5th session now.
My first DCC game that I ran for Caverns of Thracia, I was thinking the dungeon I put together would be over in one night. It was 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like it happens sometimes.
But pretty much it's like Cthulhian horrors, but archmages. One of the monsters, and this is from the Undermountain book itself, is a little girl that has basically lived in the far realm for too long. So she has like another set of mouth, extra eyes, extra arms, walks like this weird limp and stuff like that. So I was like, well, I got to make this a little bit interesting for my players, because they'll just fucking roundhouse kick an Arch-mage in a single round. So I said, hey, you got 2 mouths, you got 2 brains, you can cast 2 spells a turn. Holy shit! Did that just flip that encounter? but being able, I didn't like cast Cone of Cold. That's a little too rough. I basically, it was like high level spell, low level spell at the same time. But I was able to take out a party member to bleeding status, and right when that happened, it was the healer's turn. So I was thinking, okay, nothing bad's going to happen. And they're essentially the setup for it is like there's a room, and there's the adjacent room, and the first room is where the Arch-mage is, and in that room is the barbarian and another pseudo melee character. And the opposite room is my wife playing her bard, a sorcerer, and the healer. So the Cone of Cold and I think the fireball goes off, and the sorcerer falls down. The bard is low but still standing. The healer, whose dental turn it is, for whatever reason, runs into the first room and heals the barbarian who's taken very little damage. And things go by. My wife goes. She tries to hold monster. It doesn't work. The ranger goes. Stab, stab. The barbarian goes. Chop, chop. Death save from the sorceress. And the healer's like, oh shit, she's down? I didn't notice that. And it was very funny to us. Because, like, on Foundry, like, when I knock someone who's bleeding out and down, there's, like, 4 or 5 different status effects that show up on the character, to, like pop up on screen that says all this. And he just, like, stepped over the body, went, I'll get to you later, ran in, patched up the barbarian, who was, like, very littly hurt. And it came to this little girl's Arch-mage's turn. So, basically, I just misty-stepped into the other room and threw up a wall of force. And...
That's the dick move. Hell yeah.
It was the dick move. But the thing about the character was that she wants to capture the players, not kill them. So she can basically torture them and do heinous things on them in the far realm. So she basically walked over the following turn and stabilized the sorceress, tied her up. My wife was down at that point in time because whenever you teleport now in this world, star spawn come through with you. So there's a star spawn that took her down, and the only reason the wall of force dropped, I could have gone in a terrible way with it. The players decided to do an intimidation on the little girl, and to basically get her to drop the wall of force and kill them because, for whatever reason. But that was the only thing they could think of. And they tried their intimidation, and they basically threw one of her pet Grell at the window or at the wall of force that they had killed. So I gave them advantage on the check, and they got like a 24. And so I rolled a charisma save on my side to, or not a charisma save, but just a charisma check on my side to kind of like see through it and be, stable. I rolled a 1. So my little girl got really pissed, and she dropped the wall of force and started throwing spells at them.
She had a tantrum.
Yeah, she had a tantrum, essentially. But I thought that was appropriate, But, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Playing spellcasters, though, man, it just feels so one-sided sometimes. And I'm using the old rules for the spellcasters. I can't imagine the new stats and what's gone on with it. They're going to be finding it.
Yeah, spellcasting can be very powerful, but it's still the issue of, well, if the fighter gets on you, best of luck.
That's why I was using the 2 mouths for like the 2 different kind of spells, one for like protective stuff and one for offensive stuff. Having 2 reactions around really helps in that, which made it feel kind of broke, being able to counter spell and shield at the same turn.
Yep, I've done that before. Level 20 PCs taking on a level 20 wizard who was phased out of time, so he was in 2 locations, effectively just able to throw double the amount of spells, and it's fucking dumb. It's very busted.
Yeah. The new counter spell, though, I'm not really liking it. It's too easy to counter spells now. I had a different mage, a different encounter cast Time Stop, and the mage was like, okay, or the sorceress was like, all right, I'll counterspell that. And So it doesn't matter what level the spell is. It's still just a con save for that Arch-mage, which he's going to fail. He only has a +1. And the DC is the sorcerer's DC, which is like 17 at this point in time. Like, there's no way they're making that, you know. Maybe maybe with the new monsters having spell-like abilities that you can't counter is supposed to be the balance of that, but man, using an old monster stat with a new counter spell is just fucking cheating in a way. Yeah.
I remember we talked about it when the editions changed
Yeah.
over, but I barely even fucking remember. I don't even know how the new one works at this point.
The new one is the monster casting the spell who's getting counterspelled has to make a con save, and that con save DC is the player's current spell save DC. Okay.
So on average, a 15 or 16
Yeah.
con save. That's rough for a caster.
Right. If it's a legendary monster, they can go, all right, I failed that counterspell. I choose to succeed otherwise, and it does burn a legendary resistance there. So there's that benefit, but this Arch-mage wasn't legendary. So if I would have used the old spell, the old way counterspell work, which is what, 8 plus the spell's level? I believe
it's 10 plus spell level. And it uses your stat bonus and whatever you roll. That's it. So trying to counter a level 9 spell, you got to roll fucking good.
Right. So you'd have to roll good. It puts the emphasis back on the player, not me as a DM. So like I said, that new counterspell is definitely for monsters that have spell-like abilities that you can't counter, but it feels kind of there's less stuff to counter overall. I mean, she countered Time Stop. It wouldn't have mattered much. Well, actually, I say that knowing what I know, but you know, it was going to die. It was just running away. You know, but it kept the monster there, and they were able to slag it. So I guess it accomplished its goal. But pretty much counterspell is just an instant no spell for you thing. There's no chance I'm going to pass those with the old monster stats. You know, unless I roll a 20. You know.
Yep. And use the new monster stats.
I didn't look it up. I mean, I'll look it up right now since, you know.
I mean, that is sort of the intention, right? If you're playing if you're allowing 5.5 characters, you should probably be running 5.5 monsters. They supposedly, and I say that in quotations, balanced it.
So the 5.5 Arch-mage has Arcane Burst, which is 40, 10 plus 5 force damage. A level 9 Bone of Cold. A level Mind Blank, Scrying, Teleport, all 1 a day each. Fly, Lightning Bolt at level 7. That will detect magic, detect thoughts, disguise self, light, mage armor, mage hand, and precipitation.
How much of how many of those are spells, or how
those,
many are monster
those are all the spells.
Okay.
The Arcane Burst is the spell-like ability, which does 40, 10 plus 5 damage, and then make 4 of those attacks per turn. 3 Misty Steps, 3 shields or counter spells, and advantage on saving throws against spells. So I guess they would have advantage on getting counter spell, but I don't know. I would have if I would have kept this stat for the fights that I had this weekend with the Arch-mage, I felt like I would have been doing a disservice because there's not enough variation in the spells, and this is just a sack of hit points, glass cannon.
Well, yeah, which is
that was one of the complaints we had about the new spellcastery monsters, is that they don't feel like spellcasters; they feel like monster stat blocks.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, this is a good caster stat block, but it's not an Arch-mage to me.
Yeah.
No, it definitely is not. Definitely is not. I think I hear your cat snoring, by the way.
Oh, I'm gonna put the mic closer to his face. So the last thing I have to discuss for you guys is, I think, something we all wanted to bring up. Sigil is closing the chapter and thanking the community. It's going away completely. Sigil being the 3D VTT thing that they had designed and spent all this time and money and kind of just released on a whim one weekend without telling anybody, and didn't give any support to or anything.
Yep.
I never even opened it up.
I did.
I never even used it.
Oh, but your pre-order Red Dragon or whatever for ordering the player sample.
Yeah. If I had done that, I'd be mad about that. But
well, you are getting 6 months of Master Tier credit to your account if you bought into sigils. So that kind of is the money that the pre-order money that we spent. The VTT doesn't seem to be going away. The VTT seems to be actually being used quite well, and a lot of people are using it.
You mean the other one, maps?
Yes, maps. Yeah.
Okay.
They're basically what they seem to be doing is they seem every time something gets released that has a map, they import it over automatically, and add in all the tokens for the monsters and stuff from that book into the map section, which is great. That's how it should be. And a lot of people are using that. I think they're having relative success with that. I don't think it's up to the quality of Roll20 or Foundry yet, but I haven't used it mostly because I'm very happy with Foundry.
Yeah, I don't know if it needs to be. I think a lot of people don't need all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
But I think if it just has enough for you to display some basic fog of war and maps and tokens, like most people will be happy with that.
I think the thing that because they're importing their maps automatically, that is like the best selling point to it.
Yeah.
And I know like Roll20 has it as well too when you buy things, but you know,
if you're already all in on D&D Beyond, that seems like a pretty easy thing to just be like, well, instead of buying this thing again on another platform, I can just do this and I have all the stuff already. Yeah. Seems pretty nice.
So,
all right. Well,
yeah, I mean that's really all I got. I had a very quiet week, guys.
yeah, like on the sigil thing, real quick, it's nearing the end of the year. Sounds like tax write-off time coming up.
Yeah.
If you cancel the project, you can write it off as a loss. So that's probably why they decided to do it now.
Well,
yeah.
On a different note, Dan and I went to a local game convention run by our local game store.
They don't have cons in Georgia.
Yeah, I know. It's impossible.
They don't have books. They don't have bookstores in Charleston.
It's called LugCon or Level Up Games Con for Level Up Games, the store that is running it. This was their first year, which I had no idea going into it. I just knew this was the first time I'd seen it. We only went for one day. Went for Saturday for, I don't know. I think I was there from 11:45 to, I guess we left around 6:30. So, but it was a neat little con. They had some good. I like that it wasn't super crowded, but in any of the kind of walk spaces, between the game rooms or in the vendors area. But anywhere we went to, like the gaming setups, like there were full of people playing card games or board games or tabletop games or miniature war games. So I hope they do it again. I'll probably go all 4 days the next time. We played a game of Daggerheart, level 1 characters for a short Daggerheart adventure.
How'd that go?
It was fun. I exhibited my excellent ability to roll shitty in any given game system. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but Daggerheart is a 2d12 system. You have a hope and a fear die, and add the two dice together, and if you meet or beat the DC that you're trying to go for, you succeed. But if the fear die, if you have two different color D12 die, fear die is higher, then essentially the DM gets to take control of the narrative and interrupt with if you're in combat or there's some sort of negative effect that may come back to haunt your character later. I rolled my dice, I think, 8 times. I crit it once, which is when you roll the same on both dice. I got hope once, which means I got my hope die higher, and I got fear 6 times.
Classic Dan rolling, apparently.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I didn't fail that many times, but I got fear, which then turned the combat on its head, because then the DM started beating the ever living son out of the party, and getting extra turns, and I'm just like, oh my god, I just can't roll for shit. But of course, I actually had to take actions in the second combat that we ended up having, because we ended up fighting level 1 characters, and we ended up fighting 2 wraiths, and we have a barbarian, or I think it's called a guardian. We had a bard who Kristian played, a ranger, and we had a thief, and nobody has magic weapons or anything like that. So the ranger tries to effectively shoot at one of them with a hunter's mark, and there's basically no effect. And it's like, okay, well, I'm the wizard or the sorceress. I'm gonna cast some spells, and I managed to do a ton of damage. But the DM's like, yeah, since you ended up doing taking these guys out, but you ended up with fear, blah blah blah. If we're going to continue this game, since you'd develop a phobia of discorporeal undead. I was like, yep, glad there's only a one shot, but okay. But it was an interesting system. I really liked it. I would have to play a couple more games of it to see how it plays at higher tiers of play, but there was definitely the distinct possibility of quick death at level 1, depending on how well or how poorly you roll. Because like I said, when I rolled this fear dice, and I wasn't the only one rolling and having the fear die higher, the DM would take his turns, and then he would attack, and the evasion, or the AC, effectively, for those that play D&D instead of Daggerheart, for everybody was pretty low. I mean, I'm playing the sorceress, so my is 10. Kristian, what was yours as the bard?
And also 10.
Yeah, the ranger maybe had a 13.
Our barbarian had an 8.
Oh man.
Yeah,
but they could soak more damage. It's definitely a different kind of system where AC isn't everything, because while they were easier to hit, it was harder to do real damage to them. And the barbarian had 3 times my hit points, and it was harder to even deal hit point damage to them. So, I got hit with 1 hit, and they have everything broken up into thresholds, where if it does X amount of damage, it does, if it does this amount of damage or less, it only does 1 hit point. If it goes over that, it does 2, and then it goes over your severe threshold, it does 3 hit points of damage. Well, I only had 4 hit points, and my thresholds weren't very high because I was a fairy bard. And so literally 1 hit, even when I reduced it, almost killed me. I got hit the 1 time.
But at least
whereas that hit that almost killed me would have done 1 hit point of damage to our barbarian.
At least with 4 hit points, they can't kill you in 1 hit. Because 3 is the maximum damage.
Yeah, 3 is max, unless they crit.
Oh, I thought even with a crit it was 3. Okay.
I think there's ways to do extra hit points, and
well, I'll shut my mouth then, because I don't know.
But yeah, it was neat that I think the way the fear and the hope kind of make an ebb and flow to combat and stuff, where you can use cool abilities a little bit, but then you've spent your hope down, and so now you're down to doing littler stuff until you build it back up, and then you can do cool stuff again, instead of just having to be I have a one spell I can use and then it's gone forever. It's more well, I did my cool thing, but now I got to wait a little bit, and then it comes back. There's also another resource called stress, which everyone has, which is you can take damage to stress from certain abilities, but sometimes you can mark your own stress that allows you to use an ability.
So you stress yourself out, which is a negative, to get a positive out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember,
I could mark stress to, I had an ability where I didn't get to use it because it never really made sense, but I can enrapture somebody, but then I can mark stress to stress them out while I'm doing that, to while they're just stuck there focusing, and then I can start playing with their mind and draining their stress.
Yeah. Like I remember us going over this whole system when it came out and talking about it in depth. And like, I hope that the people behind it, Critical Role and their team haven't sort of missed the boat, as it were, because they decided to run their newest campaign in 5th edition D&D, despite them having a brand new system. And I haven't even really heard. I know they're going to be doing more stuff with it, but I haven't heard any talks about them releasing new settings or more stuff to it.
They actually, they've got a pretty solid playtesting kind of channel where they've been steadily releasing more stuff to playtest, like several more classes, and that they are working on like a pretty robust, I guess, what their campaign frame or their campaign setting that they're going to do. They give you a bunch of short ones in the core book. So it looks like they do have some support behind it, and anywhere I've seen seems to have a decent number of Daggerheart games. I've seen some of the third-party creators I know from the D&D space are starting to make Daggerheart products now.
Okay.
They seem like, I don't think, like I said, I don't think they're not gonna overtake D&D or take over the big brand name, but I think they are carving out their own niche in the space.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised. Like, it's just one of these things. It's such a small space in general, like the role playing thing, and like me, I'm much more interested in general in like DCC or Shadow Dark. So I guess that's primarily what's going to come across my feed. I've seen very, very little Daggerheart stuff coming across my feed, like almost nothing. So yeah.
Yeah, last I saw was, Perkins and the other guy going over there.
Yeah. Yep.
Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins.
Yeah. I saw. We talked about when they were on stage together, talking about those guys joining and everything else going forward, but still haven't seen anything else. But
yeah, well, I'm sure something will come.
Oh, I know. Yeah. It's
Dan,
just
Chris about LugCon?
Say again?
Anything you want to bring up about LugCon?
Yeah, I mean, it was a small convention, but I mean, didn't really expect anything super huge for the first year of the convention that I only even heard of 2 months ago, I think, when we first heard about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, the exhibitors hall was pretty nice. There was some good representation there. Goodman Games was there actually, and they had a nice booth. Who's the dice? Like Black Oak Games Workshop.
Black Oak Games was dice bags, and other
Yeah, they had some very nice stuff too. And there's some really cool artists in there, and they also had what they had. They had some pins that you go on like a little scavenger hunt for, which we had a great time doing. We actually had we only had 45 minutes until our game when we discovered that we could probably actually finish the scavenger hunt to get the pins, and we managed to go through and we got like a pretty nice pin of a mimic chest and a regular chest that actually is just filled with gold. But it's a very cute little mimic with a purple tongue. And the convention center itself is quite nice. It's relatively new. I'd been there before for a Lego convention with my son. We didn't actually, like, the only thing that, since we knew we were going to be there for a day, I very briefly looked at the catalog of events that were posted 2 months ago and said, oh, look, Daggerheart, I want to play that, and just signed up for it and never looked at it again. But after the fact, I went through and looked at it, and they basically had every slot packed out with a number of games. There was DCC, there was Shadow Dark, there was a bunch of different games of Daggerheart. There was a number of learn to play this war game or this tabletop board game, because there was a couple of independent board game makers and stuff there. It looked like a pretty for his first time. It looked pretty pretty decently set up.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of like whenever we went to that free RPG day at Level Up Games. It was kind of a dry run for it because we got there and we didn't realize it, but they were having kind of like a mini con that day. So basically, all the things that they were giving away for free RPG day, there were DMs there hosting and letting people play the games. But the problem was, by the time we knew about it, like all the games had already been filled up because there weren't that many there. I mean, Level Up Games is big. It's a big gaming store, but it's still just a gaming store, and their play space is pretty limited comparatively. But I'm wondering if they're going to do that again for the next free RPG day, and I might actually show up and try to play some of these other games I want to play, like Dragonbane and things like that.
Yeah, me too.
But
yeah, it was a good selection of games. There was a bunch of Borg likes too. Pirate Borg, Borg, Cyborg,
Fast Grim, I think was one of it.
Grim.
Yeah, there was it was Pirate Borg was there, Cyborg was there. There was something else. A ton of collectible card game stuff too. There's like learn to play stations for Pokemon and for Magic and things like that too. But the board game room, I think, was probably the most impressive room that we ended up going into. It was like, because I'm used to playing, going to Dragon Con off and on since the 90s, and you got to pay for everything at Dragon Con. Like you pay for your ticket to get in. You pay for each game that you sign up for at Dragon Con. You pay for a pass in order to check out board games from the board game library. Like, this reminded me of, like, clearly these people had been to other cons before where they don't do that kind of shit, where they nickel and dime the entire time. Because at Gen Con, they have a huge board game library. You don't have to pay for anything. You just go check out a game. You show them your pass, and you get the board game, and you take it back when you're done. And there's the same thing here. Like, we were able to check out a couple of board games. We checked out what was the name of the board game we checked out? It was
called Killer. It is a card board game / board game themed after The Thing. Where it is Arctic outpost.
Really?
Alien horror, and everyone else is a survivor, and it switches round to round. Like, you have identity cards that you hand out every round, and so every round, who the horror is different. You never quite know, and so it's a fun game of trying to figure out, like, who do you want to stay away from and who might be being weird.
Yeah, it was fun. We had met the creator that day. We just didn't have time for him to, like, sit around and explain it to us because we were trying to rush through trying to get the scavenger hunt done. But it was fun. I would highly recommend it.
Yeah,
come next year. If they do it again, you guys should come down.
If they do it next year, I will. Like, I will definitely plan for it because, like I said, it's 2.5 hours. It's not far for me at all.
Yeah.
And I already know exactly where the convention center is because I've played a lot of Magic the Gathering tournaments there over the years.
Nice.
So, I'll think about it. It's a 17-hour drive. 17-day stay.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
All right.
Oh my god.
You're taking a weird route.
Yeah, go all the way up to Pennsylvania and then come all the way back down.
Yeah, that's not how you drive.
You gotta go up 95 till it ends, then down 85 till it ends.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I wanted to talk about is tried a couple of demos. We mentioned this one last week, the Demeo Dungeons and Dragons. I played this, so you don't have to.
Oh my god!
Are we appreciative of that or not?
Yeah. So it definitely still has, like, you can tell this was originally designed for 3D, virtual spaces. Like, this was designed for Oculus or whatever, those other 3D gaming, because the way it has you, like, place your cards on things is like you drag it and you hold it over the little token of the monster or whatever. And so it still has a lot of the hallmarks of this was built for a different platform. And as far as the demo moves really slow. Like, it gives you a little, like, quick, like, tutorial, and that moves obnoxiously slow. And then the whole, and then even when they kind of set you loose and you go, okay, you got 2 different missions you can choose from, and you can go do these 2 things to try out the game kind of on your own. Every step of it definitely still feels like it's designed for, 3D platforms where you want to kind of take your time to move stuff, because you pull your card out that you want to use, you drag it over top of the enemy miniature that you want to use it on. It highlights that. Then it rolls its die, which is not a d20. Well, it's like a d20, but it's just, there's 3 results you can get. You can get a sword result, which is it attacks and does its thing. You can get the cross sword, which is a critical hit, or you get the skulls, which is I guess just a critical miss. There's no regular miss. I did enjoy that if you say shoot a rays of fire at an enemy, and you roll a critical miss, and you have party members in the line of fire, you can in fact scorch your own party.
Very nice.
But everything, it takes a while, so you drag it over, you roll the die. You can see the outcome of the die, but it takes a little bit for it to come up and like do this graphic of it popping up on the screen with the big sword that tells you that it has. And then it does the animation for the effect of it shooting, a ray of fire, for your firebolt at the monster, and then the animation of it taking damage. And so like every little thing seems to like take way too long to resolve. And it definitely feels like this is a licensed product. This is a D&D skin over what they already were doing, whatever their normal game is. And they may enjoy Dungeons and Dragons, and they look like they put some effort into doing this. They have all the kind of spells and stuff you expect for Dungeons and Dragons. You can smite as your paladin. The rogue is a little weird. I guess they didn't quite know what to do with a rogue in a game that's based on a bunch of card abilities.
Backstab, 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 backstab.
Yeah, you have backstab, but you can only do it sometimes, and because it's a card that comes up where you can be like, haha, I backstab, and then you're like, well, my card is gone for a little while. It's just yeah, so it's if you're not already a fan of whatever they're doing, it's probably not for you. It's definitely not for me, and it kind of makes me ask the question of who is this for? I don't know who this game is for, because the Dungeons and Dragons aspect is just kind of a painted on skin. Oh my gosh, the one that you do that is actually they're trying to do a story quest. Not only does every NPC, you can't interrupt them, and they talk so slow while you wait for them to do it. It is just, the voice acting is not great. It is like an overly goofy cartoon where they're trying to get you to like, it seems like they're nudging you to be like, isn't this funny? Did you see how clever I was? It is.
Yeah.
It's awkward.
Yeah, I mean, it's for for the people who are playing the game, it's something that they might be interested in. Definitely doesn't really sound like it's for D&D people who don't play the game.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what I expected as soon as I looked at it. But
yep. Now, on the other hand,
we appreciate your sacrifice for playing it so that we don't have to.
Yeah, don't play it. I can't recommend it. Maybe in the the full release they'll speed it up. They'll allow you to skip some conversations, and maybe some of the battle stuff will be better. But it still just kind of feels like there's much better games that do D&D. This is not it.
So tell us about the one that might do something good, like Shadow Dark.
The Secret of Weepstone is a game that I played today. I remember I saw earlier, I was doing stuff throughout the weekend. I didn't have time, but I saw that the demo was live. So I downloaded it and I played it today. And it's a short demo. It might take you, 45 minutes to an hour to go through. But this game loves old school D&D. All the kind of graphics are black and white. But even like when you first go, like you get through a short intro story, you have to pick your the local lord is seeking volunteers to go into old Weepstone Keep to see, if there's a solution to the problem there. And you pick your volunteers from the people gathered in the tavern. You start at level 0, by the way, which is fantastic.
Oh man.
And so you're picking from like the bartender, and like they all have a background. It's just like, okay, you got the dwarf blacksmith, and they're using kind of Beckme because his class they tell you what the future class will be, so you'll know what your party is when they level up. And his class will be dwarf, and the elf class will be elf. So they have magic user and cleric and thief and halfling. So, but when you first go, they're like, all right, you select your group and you're going to the keep. It opens up what looks like an old like B series module book, and it flips it open to show you the intro map, which is like the old, like if you remember old, the like blue and white like graph paper look of maps. It is one of those, and then it puts you in the room. But every time you open up your map, it opens up the module cover again that looks like the old Beckme modules for you, and then you see your map, what map progress you made. So this is great. It combines kind of it's like a first-person perspective when you're like walking around, kind of like the old like wizardry games. And there's things you can interact with. There are puzzles. When it goes to combat, the combat is turn-based, and the ranks that your heroes are in will matter. It's like your front rank guys can use melee weapons. If you're in the second or third rank, you can
use me of like Eye of the Beholder.
Yeah, you can use spears or ranged weapons. But combat moves pretty quickly. It is very dangerous because you don't have a lot of hit points at level 0. But this feels like a love letter to old school D&D. That you have every character has their little character sheet. When you go to look at their stats, it's all set up like a character sheet. Their classic 6 ability scores, and so this is for people that love D&D, especially if you love old D&D.
Yeah.
Then you're fine. I was able to use one of my members died, and at some point there was a door that was barred shut, and one of the options was to use the corpse as a battering ram. So
always a great option.
Yeah, always a good option.
I've totally never done that in old D&D before.
Yeah, so this Secret of Weepstone, I am very excited about.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm downloading the demo currently. Yep. I wouldn't have realized that they had a demo until you told me. All right. I think the last thing that was on the list is I have an ecology for us if we want to go over it. The ecology. What?
What's an ecology again?
Good question. Let's figure out what the internet says ecology is. What is ecology? The branch of biology that deals with the relations of organisms to one another and to their physical surroundings. That's not very accurate for what we do on this podcast. Usually what we do with the ecologies is we find a monster or something weird and we talk about it from the beginning of Dungeons and Dragons to the current state of Dungeons and Dragons while skipping all of 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, as you should.
Because none of us care about 4E except for Chris.
Aww.
Yep. Sorry, Betty. So I wanted to go over the ecology of the Lammasu, and I might be pronouncing it. I might be pronouncing it wrong. It's either Lammasu or Lammasu, which I don't know which. The Lammasu in D&D is a lion's body with wings and feathers on them and a human head. And I don't actually think they have official stats for them in 5th edition. I could not find official stats. So if anyone else knows, let me know. Historically, Lammasu is a ancient Sumerian thing. There's statues of them, and they sometimes had a bull's body, but it's either bull or lion. In D&D, it's always lion. I've never seen any with the bull's body. The first mention of the Lammasu came in the original white box Dungeons and Dragons, Greyhawk, actually. So this is actually a Gary Gygax thing where he said, "This sounds like a cool monster. Let's put it in our game." And I went through, found a Dragon Magazine article on the ecology of the Lammasu, which is how we find pretty much all of our ecologies. And what they are is they are lawful good beings. And if you look at the stats of them all the way through and just the ecologies, it's very, very consistent from first edition all the way through up through third edition. Once again, there's not really much for fifth edition. They all have clerical powers. They always protect or good beings, and they tend to live in like prides in different areas. And if there are good beings around, they're being assaulted, they will hunt down the evil and wipe it out. Usually, all I can do right now is hear that cat snoring in the goddamn microphone, Chris.
It's throwing you off. I can tell.
It definitely is. I'm just hearing purr, purr. Oh my god. Thanks, man. Thanks. So first edition D&D Monster Manual. Let's see. I kind of had all this worked out in my head, and I'm so off track right now because of the fucking cat.
Yes, you failed your concentration save.
Oh, I definitely did. Thanks.
The new rules work.
Yep. First edition D&D, Lammasus, they can become invisible at will, and they can cast Dimension Door at will. They have a continual radius around them against protection from evil, and they can use clerical spells up to 4th level, as if though they were 6th level casters. And that's the basics of them. Like the later editions, it doesn't really change a whole lot. Second edition, however, I have the book here in front of me. There are actually 3 different types of Lammasus in second edition. And they have the lesser, the greater, and the absolutely fucking ridiculous one, the celestial Lammasu. And Kristian, you may or may not be familiar with them because that's a planescape monster, apparently.
Yeah, that one I remember.
Yeah, they are. They're 20 hit dice, which is the equivalent of it's basically a CR 20 monster. The celestial ones are. They live on Olympus. Yeah, same deal though. Lawful good, protect good people. A lot more hit points, a lot harder to kill. Let's see. Where is the second edition one? There we go. Second edition, the lesser Lammasus, there wasn't a whole... I keep saying there's not a whole lot different, but honestly, there just really isn't. Like the graders get access to more spells. They have more spell resistance than the lessers. When it got to third edition, they actually kind of just... I think they removed the entire grader thing and the celestial one. Hang on, let me pull out the book. Yeah, so they just have Lammasu for third edition or 3.5, and it's actually kind of a combination of it numbers wise, it's between the lesser and the greater stats wise. But then they have the absolutely fucking ridiculous one, the Golden Protector. And I'm reading the name on this. It's the Golden Protector. It is a celestial half dragon Lammasu, and it counts as a large dragon. It is a child of a celestial Lammasu and a gold dragon. So yeah, if a gold dragon and a Lammasu fall in love, this is what you get.
That's nasty.
It is nasty. It's nasty in all regards. But in 3rd edition, like the basic Lammasu, they actually gave them a breath weapon, which was not in 1st or 2nd edition. They have a fucking fire breath. And then the Golden Protector also has a fire breath that I think it deals the same amount of damage. 6d8 for the Golden Protector. And where's the other? And 6d8 for the lesser. So I don't know what the deal with that was. They're just like, just give it all fire breaths. Make it the same.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah, you know how 3rd edition was. They're just like, whatever. 4th edition, no idea. 5th edition, I looked on the 5e SRD. That's the closest thing we would have to an official stat. And
I didn't find anything on D&D Beyond.
Yeah. Yeah, like nothing really. The SRD, they're CR10 monsters, which is a bump up from where they have been in previous editions. They were all like CR7 or CR8. They've still got the pounce attack that they would have because they're lions. They get a bunch of the spells that they would normally have, but the one big difference that they've given them for 5th edition is they all have legendary actions. Mind you, it's SRD, but it makes sense, I think. So the one thing that I did read in the SRD, and I absolutely fucking love this idea, and I'm actually going to read this verbatim because if I ever ran Lammasus, I would use this. So they do protect different historical sites and places of religious importance from harm, but then they also have adopting a city. A Lammasu will sometimes leave its ruins and adopt a humanoid city simply by nesting in its largest gatehouse and inspecting the people and creatures that pass through the gate. In these situations, a protective Lammasu watches for known criminals, offers blessings to the poor, and sometimes demands donations from the wealthy to assist beggars, widows, and orphans. In most cases, this role as a gate Lammasu ends after a year and a day, but it can last up to a decade. Watch captains, merchants, and city rulers have attempted flattery, bribery, and carefully worded proclamations, but nothing seems to dissuade a city Lammasu. So it just shows up, it perches on your walls, and it won't fucking leave.
I just picture it like batting at the people as they walk by, like a cat would. Like,
yep.
That's awesome. That is very cat-like. It just shows up. It's jumped up like on a high place, like on the top of your bookshelf or on your desk. And it's just like, I don't want to get down. I want to be right here.
Yep.
I live here now until I leave.
Yeah. You fed me. I'm here now. I belong here. So that's what I've got on the ecology of the Lammasu. Interesting stuff. Yeah. And I wish they would add it into 5th edition at some point, because I was real surprised when I started researching this. And I was like, wait a minute, this isn't a 5e thing? I could have fucking sworn this was 5e. But apparently
I don't think 5e has done anything, I'm not going to say Egyptian-like, or anything Sphinx-related in a while where that would kind of like come into effect. So... It's all Sword Coast and the rest of the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, I know. But but if you look at the monster manual, like I'm pretty sure the Lamia is in there. Sphinxes are definitely in there. So it feels like it should be in there.
Yeah, it seems like a weird mix for a classical monster from mythology to leave out. Especially one that's been in the game
since the beginning. Yeah. Oh, there was one other thing that I almost forgot about. White Dwarf Magazine, issue number 17. There's an article titled "My Life as a Werebear," and it actually goes through these rules on how to play monsters as D&D characters, and the first one in there is the Lammasu.
That's great.
Yep. So if you ever want to play a Lammasu, White Dwarf issue 17 from I think it's 1980 or something like that.
I'm bad at it. I don't attack it. I bite it.
Yeah. You just pin it to the floor. Swat it around a little bit. All right. Well, does anybody else have any other topics before we wrap this thing up?
Not this week. I'm saving something. It needs a
Oh,
little more
okay.
time.
All right. All right. We'll give you a week, then you can figure it out.
Well, next week I got something even
No.
better. So,
Well, all right then. Maybe somebody else will have an ecology for next week too.
nah.
Maybe.
I could
Maybe.
continue with my my dragon ecology. Probably, we'll see.
I mean, that's a whole that's a whole podcast in itself, Dan.
I know.
Want the ecology of Frankenstein?
You mean a flesh golem?
I
Yeah.
mean, ecology of the
yeah.
Nope, nobody's done ecology of the golem yet.
That's fair.
That's a thing.
Hey, are we going to talk about psionics again?